long have you had your bike, Sonny? I think you've had it for a while now, right?
Yeah, October will be 2 years.
All right, Scott's coming in again. Okay, how about now, Scott? Nope, still can't hear you. I wish the Zoom just works sometimes. I'm techie. I even have problems sometimes.
Well, like, this is actually the first time I've used Zoom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I'm using it right now on my tablet because I don't have a webcam.
Yeah, it works on phones, tablets too. I've tried it on my iPhone. It seems to work okay. But anyway, well, Sonny, you did a video on kind of the updated controller and the new battery settings in terms of, you kind of updated your battery levels for, 25%, 50%, 75%, and 100. Can you, what were those numbers again? Do you remember those? I think 50% was like 48 something now.
What I did a lot of field data. I go out and I'll ride, and the area I live in is pretty flat. So if it's not a windy day, I can get pretty accurate readings, because I've found out with these e-bikes that the least little change, gradual slope, just a little bit of wind, it really affects those numbers. So it's kind of hard to find the perfect world to analyze these things in. But what I'll do is I'll do a number of samples, and then I'll try to figure out which one of those samples has credible data. And once I establish that, then maybe I've got, hopefully at least 2 or 3 runs that's got good data that I can draw my data from to arrive at certain figures. And the first thing I realized when I got into the battery end of it, trying to figure out what percentage of battery or at a certain level, was that I started out like most people would think. I rated it on a linear scale from 54.6 volts down to 42 volts. Just drew a straight line.
Yeah.
And that's what I was using for my voltage gauge at that time. And once I got out in the field and started trying to apply those to my data and got back with my data, I realized it doesn't work that way. It's on a crazy curve. And why, I don't really know.
Yeah, why does a 48 volt battery equate to 54 volts? Well, 4.6 volts when you turn it on? It seems a little weird.
Well, all your batteries are going to do that. They're going to be above. They've got a rating, and these are rated at 48 volts. I'm not, and that's rated on the individual cells. They determine what voltage level it should be, and it kind of all basically goes back to each cell is 1.5 volts. Of course, with a 9 cap, it's 1.25. So I guess that's how they figured up. They add all those up, and it's supposedly, but I think all the 48 volt batteries come out at 54.6.
Can you hear me now, Chris?
Yes, you're back, Scott. You're here,
Okay,
Scott.
I'm using my the mic on the computer, not my external mic.
Oh,
Okay.
nice. Sonny, can you see Scott now?
He comes in and out. He's on he'll flash in, and then you'll flash back.
Okay.
Where are you guys from?
I'm in Connecticut. Sonny's in North Carolina.
Where in North Carolina, Sonny?
Rocky Mount, which is, if you're familiar with Raleigh.
Yeah, I'm in Boone.
Oh, you're in Boone. Okay, you're on the other side then.
Yeah, we got a lot of hills here.
You do. Well, see, I don't have those hills, so I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I got hills here too. I took my bike out yesterday, and I ran out of battery for the first time ever. I left the house with 47, I think it was 47.1 or 2. And I said, okay, I'll do 10 miles. I can probably get 10 miles out of this. So 12 miles later, I got a little greedy, and I turned back. Sure enough, with 1 mile left, and I had a huge hill to climb back home, I ran out. It was hitting like 43 on the voltmeter, and as soon as I hit the hill, it just sucked it all out, and that was it. I had to walk up the hill in defeat.
Well, I try not to let mine drop below 45 volts, and which really at 45.8 is when you get it 25% left. Well, I found out usually once you get below 45% voltage, it rapidly degrades your performance. And once you get down to about 43 to 44 volts, it really starts draining then. You first notice it on the acceleration that it's draining it.
Yeah.
But as it approaches 42, both ways, acceleration and power. And then you'll see, once you get close to 42, your speed will just start just going right down.
Yep.
And even though you might be able to go another 3 or 4 miles, it's just constantly going down, down, down to the point to where you can hardly tell that you're getting any power assist at all. And at about that point, it'll pop off and then you lose everything.
Yeah. We've got a couple new people joining. Jim and Fred, you guys want to say hello? Tell us where you're from.
Am I fixing?
Freddie, you there?
Yeah, I'm just having problems here with my system here.
All right, no problem.
From Las Vegas, but
Las Vegas in the house.
I may
Okay.
have to restart. Let me try and restart this.
Yeah, come back in and that might clear it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jim, can you hear us, Jim?
Me? Oh, the meat's not done.
I guess he can't hear us. Scott, what kind of bike do you have? Which one?
I've got the one XP, not the step through the original.
Me too. Sonny, you have the 1.0 as well, right?
Yeah, and I bought it back on the Thanksgiving special, and bought my wife one, and she won't ride it.
She won't ride it.
She's had she tore her Achilles tendon about a year ago, and her balance. She won't ride the bike, and I don't know if I'm gonna have to sell it. I mean, I love the bike, so I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you have? What kind of bike do you have her? Do you have a step through?
She has a step through, the original, and I have the regular one. And I hate to say, I like the way the step through rides, and I may sell mine and keep hers. I don't know.
What's the difference there, Scott? I've never seen it.
I feel like the step through is a little smoother for me,
Really?
and I like the lower pedals on it. Yeah.
Are you tall?
No,
It's got a lower center of gravity.
I'm 5'9", but I'm over 200 pounds. So, but I don't know. I like the bike, but here in Boone, it's either up or down. You don't go flat. There's no flat roads up here.
Yeah.
And I get those funny looks on our Greenway trail when I'm riding it because it's electric, and these people think we're all crazy. So
Yeah, I know.
you
I did a whole video on that.
But I've taken it to the coast in North Carolina. My daughter has a home there, and I tell you, it's incredible. When it's flat, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Where the places you can go.
For both you guys, Sonny and Scott, what's the longest ride you've ever done on Electric?
I've done only 10 miles.
10.
Well, I used to be a cross-country cyclist in my younger days, and to ride 100 miles was nothing. But of course, we're talking about 30, 35 years ago. But on this, I've gone several times, close to 50 miles on it.
Wow.
But do you have extra batteries on there? Or?
Yeah.
Tell me about your setup.
And that has really spoiled me. I've got a 20 amp battery that I keep in my bag, and I've got it hooked up in parallel, and I run both of them together at the same time. And I like to run usually in PS 3 and 4 is where I do most of my riding. My speed will vary from about 15 up to about 22, kind of in that range. I do about 15 miles a day, but it's flat. All of this is flat.
Yeah.
And but I'll ride 3 days, which adds up to 45 miles. And then on the third day, I'll recharge. I'm down to 25% battery left. And I really like that extra battery because it's got a lot of plus factors. Yeah. Number one, you are not stressing the batteries as much. those batteries stay cold. I mean, they don't even heat up. Maybe a real hot day, you might feel a little heat out of them, but you feel very little heat. So you're not fatiguing your battery at all. And you actually get a little boost in range. We're not talking about much, maybe a couple of 3 miles on a fully charged. You'll get that much more with them hooked that way, because, you know, if your batteries are heating up, you're losing energy. So it's going somewhere. That heat's energy, and it's not going to the tires. It's going, you know, out in the atmosphere. So that's probably the gain you get. You're just not heating your batteries up and losing that energy.
Let me ask you, I read that the new 2.0s, which I ordered one, it's supposed to be here. Well, it's delayed now, but it should be here sometime in late July. They say it's got a 9.6 amp hour battery, but versus the 10.4 I have now, my 1.0. In your opinion, Sonny, what's the difference there? Is it negligible? Should I care about that?
Well, you know, when it comes to amp hours, as long as the batteries are true to themselves, meaning they are what they say they are. Because I've dealt with a number of batteries, and they're not really what they say they are. You know, I bought one off of AliExpress, and it said it was 14 amp hour. Well, I purely compared it, purely running distances against my 10.4 stock battery. And that battery came out at 11.9 amp hours, not 14. So it's not what it's rated. Now that 20 that I bought it off of eBay. I did the same thing with it, and it came out, compared to the 10.4, it came out, it was 17 something. It wasn't 20, but still that's a lot more. So if this 9, I've seen that, what is that, 9.6, what is it? I'm not, okay. Well, you know, if you look at it in the distance, probably if you compare 9.6 miles to 10.4 miles, that's going to be your difference, because you're comparing apples with apples. So
yeah,
that would be.
Why'd you buy a 2? For your wife, or you just wanted?
I wanted to upgrade. I'm going to sell the 1.0 after I get it, and then I'll do some video comparison tests first, and I'm going to sell it. But I wanted the suspension fork. I wanted the bigger handlebars. I wanted to keep it as stock as possible, so I'm not a huge mod guy.
Yes, Sonny, have you changed your handlebars?
Yes, I had a lot of trouble with my hands numbing, going numb on me, and I'd get in about, I'd get in about between 7 and 8 miles and start getting numbness, and so I'd have to sit there and play with my hands and everything. And so I kept playing with the handlebars. Then I felt like I needed to go to a more upright position, so I wouldn't be putting as much weight on my palms of my hands while I was riding.
You got those square handlebars. I saw your video.
Yeah. So what I did, well, I played with the stock handlebars. I put extensions on them, so I got them out on each end about 1.5 inches wider. I tried that first, and I even reversed the handlebars to get them up closer to me so I could get in a more upright position. And it may have helped a little, but I still was getting that numbness. So I ran across those fully adjustable handlebars. They actually promoted more for small motorcycles, but they're fairly lightweight considering the bulk that you see, because everything's made out of aluminum. And it definitely did the trick. I put those together and angled them back and got them back and got myself sitting upright, and haven't had any problems. I've ridden over 40 miles at a time with these handlebars and hadn't had any numbness at all. So it definitely corrected that problem.
Yeah. Interesting.
And
Scott,
those that I've got, you can put them in any position you want to. It's just you raise them, lower them, out, in, twist them in. You know, it just unlimited on how you can position those.
I had to change the pedals on mine. I didn't like those XP folding pedals, kept getting stuck all the time. So I just swapped them out with a new pair. that I bought online.
Well, what,
Have you had
what
that
I-
problem,
what-
Sonny or Scott?
well, what I did, I didn't like the way that they were, I did have problems folding them a little bit. Plus, they kind of got in the way when I was trying to transport my bike, even with them folded. So I just went ahead and bought some quick release.
Quick release.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw
And so
some of those. I picked those
So
up.
I just pulled those off and they work fine.
Yep.
I bought a set for my wife and a set for me too.
Scott, what's your biggest complaint about the bike?
Handlebars. And I'd like the sprocket to be better on the higher end. When you're in PS4 and 5, you just can't pedal.
Yeah,
Have you
Yeah.
changed that to free wheel?
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
did you change your free wheel, Sonny?
Yes, I changed. That was one of the first things I did because I knew right off the bat. Having cycled as much as I have, in the past, my cadence level is fairly high. I used to cycle probably at 90. Now it's probably about 80 is where I feel good. And so I can right now with what was on it, which was that 14 tooth in high gear, up to as long as I was in class 2, that was fine. But once I moved it up to class 3 and got over 20 miles an hour, that's when the problem occurred because
Yeah.
it shortly kind of start running above and getting in that high. So I put the 11 tooth sprocket to 2811 on it, and actually the 6 gear, which is the next one up from the 11, is a 13. So actually you've got 2 higher gears than the stock one does, because the 6 gear now is a higher gear than the 7th gear was on the stock. It's not much. It's not a 1,
What do
2.
you think about the 34? I've seen some people use the 1134. Is that better than the 1128?
If I was in the mountains, I definitely want that 34 because
Okay.
that gives you a lower gear.
That's what I was thinking, because I use that lower gear all the time. So
Yeah, you definitely want to. That 28 is even around here. I see where that 28, if you really want to pedal, it's not low enough. I'm going up a hill, steep hill.
What did you guys think of the? I got the letter from Lectric about the shipping delays, and let me read some of this here for the audience. So let's see. One thing I noticed was it says tens of thousands of our bikes are fully assembled today and ready for delivery. Production is not our challenge. And so from what I understand, they're having trouble getting the FedEx trucks to actually come and get the bikes to send them out, which I thought was interesting. This email, which is pretty long, I thought it was pretty transparent on their part. The one thing I think they should have done was when I bought the bike on May 19th, after it came out, it said, I think it said 6 weeks. Now it says 7. They should have just said like 8 to 10 and put a buffer in there for the people who are buying these things, because it's come back to kind of bite them now. You can see all the complaints there on the Facebook groups, but obviously it's not really their fault.
I'm surprised how many people have damaged bikes when they get them. Ours were fine.
Yeah, mine was fine too.
We got the step-thru first, and then the regular XP, and not a thing wrong with them, not a scratch. But it seems like a lot of people have issues. So,
Well, I
Can we
ordered
just,
mine. I ordered
buddy.
both my wife and mine at the same time. This was October 2019, and we were fortunate at that time because I got them in 2 weeks after I ordered them, which was unusual back then because they were having such a growth problem with the company that prior to the time that I ordered mine, it was about a 2-month delay from ordering to where you received them. But by the time that I put my order in, they caught up where they needed to be. And so I ordered mine and I followed the tracking on it as they were coming. And about halfway across the US, they got separated for some reason. They were right there together. And then all of a sudden, one of them was coming on and the other one was still at the same place. And so I got my wife's in 2 days before mine came in. Hers came in, her box was beat up a little bit, but the bike was fine. I think just about all of them have the radio protection cage is bent on just about every one. It would come in for a long time, and they may still have that same problem.
Yeah.
And you just pull that out, so that wasn't a big problem. When mine came in, I really took a deep breath because it came in 2 days later. The box looked like it fell off the back of a pickup truck, and I got into it, and I was missing. What was I missing? I don't know whether I was missing the battery or not, but I was missing some things. I think it might have been the battery I was missing. But Lectric, they sent me what was missing, but the bike for some reason was not damaged, except for the bent the radio protector. So
I got mine within about 30 days. I ordered it in November, like 1st or 2nd of last year, and I got it like December 1st or 2nd. So it wasn't too bad. That was before all the other delays.
I was very surprised at how quick ours got in because of everybody else was talking about how long it was taking them to get theirs.
Yeah.
The bad thing about when I bought mine, when Lectric first came out, they had the $100 off, which was it was $9.99, and you could get it for $8.99. There was about a 2-foot window or 2-month window there where they did not have that. You had to buy them at the retail price, $9.99. Well, that's when I bought mine.
Yeah.
And it was about 2 months there, and then they dropped them right back down, and they stayed there. So that was not was not my luck.
Yeah. It seems like at least on the Facebook groups that the step-thru seems to be the most popular bike now. If you look at all the posts, it's hard to find like a regular version XP. If you look through all the pictures on there.
Yeah, I think the step-thru is probably, most, or I say most, maybe that is true, of the e-bikers that I see are older group of people, it seems like. And
it's definitely skewed older, yeah.
Yeah, and we're at the age where, slinging our foot over the rear wheel to get on your bike is getting kind of hard to do. It is for me anyway. And so I think that's where that step-thru is so popular. I've ridden my wife's bike, and the step-thru it handles much better. It's got a lower center of gravity, so it corners a lot better. And of course, it's easier to get on and off. So I can definitely, especially for a real short person, I could see where they definitely want the step-thru.
Yeah, I'm tall, so I like the look of the XP itself versus the step-thru. So I'm more of a design guy, I guess. But
well, if you're real tall, you may have a problem with the step-thru, because it is the seat tube is not as high off is not as long as it is on the standard, and plus I don't think they don't have the same length seat tube either. Seat tube is short.
Oh, because I thought I read that the step-thru the pedals are 2 inches lower. So it might be a little bit better for tall people.
Well, it's lower, but they also the seat tube itself is lower.
Okay.
And the top of the seat tube is much lower than the standard. That's one reason why a lot of people like it, because it puts the seat so much lower to the ground.
Gotcha.
Especially for those like my wife, for safety reasons, she doesn't have full leg extension like she should to be properly adjusted for the seat. And I don't think that's that critical on e-bikes because you're not really using yourself as the main source of power. And like I run, my seats probably could if if I wanted to be an efficient biker, I'd probably raise it about a half an inch. But I feel more comfortable, more relaxed with it down just a little bit lower than I would if I was trying to cycle to be an efficient cyclist. But I don't think it's that important on the e-bikes. I know from what I have experienced in the data that I've collected that that I don't put that much power into the bike. The bike is 90% of the power. I'm about 10%. And I'm sure a lot of people are a lot less than that. And there are probably some that are more than that. But you'd be mighty surprised how little power you contribute.
Right.
You're going down the road.
Yeah. I'm 51. I like to get some exercise out of it. So I had a mountain bike before. I sold that when I bought the Lectric, and you know, like on hills, I'll go into, you know, I'll work my legs on hills. I got plenty of those around here. Get a little bit of workout in. You know, occasionally I'll do throttle only. I mostly ride in PAS 2 and 3 because, you know, 1 is kind of useless. Really, it's too slow.
Yeah.
And then 4 and 5, you're free pedaling all the time. So I'm usually either PAS 2 or 3, and then throttle. That's because of my main ones that I use a lot. That's what works for me. But yeah, I do want to get that freewheel upgrade at some point when I get to 2.0. I'm waiting to get that so I can do all these different mods and add the hydraulic brakes, which I bought but haven't installed yet. And,
well, that's a good thing to do. I changed my brakes out. You don't have nearly the adjustment problems with the hydraulics because, you know, they have 2 pistons where the mechanical have 1 piston. So they don't, they're just applying pressure to one side of the caliper,
right,
instead of 2.
Yep.
And it's just real easy to adjust your the hydraulics. Not anywhere near the difficulty.
How about your? I bought the most expensive seat post you can suspension seat post you can buy because I'm tall. I've been through 3 already. So I got the Zoom, which is too short, but it was okay. I got the Lectric suspension seat post, way too harsh. So I ended up buying the Connect, which was $249 on Amazon, and it's got 2 springs in it, and it really it's really smoothed out the ride for me overall. And I did a video on that one. But do you have a suspension seat post as well?
Well, it's kind of ironic. I just bought another seat post because I had what is this, Satora? It's the piston type.
Yep.
And I bought one of those. They were one of the first things that I changed on the bike. It made a difference, that and changing over my seat. But last week I went ahead and I bought me a Sun Tour. It's similar to what you've got.
Yeah, I've seen that. I saw that one. It was
not as expensive.
Yeah, 100 something.
Yeah, and they are a lot better designed seat posts. I put it on there, and right away I could tell a big difference.
Yep.
It's just that's if you're gonna do it. First of all, I would advise everybody that buys one to get a suspension seat post. And if you're gonna have to pay, you know, $50 to $100 more to get you I don't know what they call that, the ones like you've got, and I just
the motion is different with the springs. Like you're going up and down, you're kind of going more like
an arc instead of
side
up
to
and down,
side, or in a curve downward motion. So it's better on your back and stuff.
It's definitely a better design. I
accessory I bought, I think it's probably my favorite so far in terms of just its functionality and it's the ROI I get out of it. You know, to me the money was well spent for a smoother ride that lets me ride longer and stuff. So I'm planning on doing my longest ride hopefully this weekend. I want to take it up to the Dutchess Rail Trail in New York. And there's a 13-mile ride to a bridge that goes over the Hudson River, and go back. So it would be 13 miles to the bridge, and then the bridge itself is a mile long. So I'm going to go to the end, come back, and hopefully get about 30 miles in and see how I do on 2 PS 2 and 3. And I'll do a video of that for the channel as well. But that's the longest I've done so far. I think is 24 miles in one ride. So looking forward to doing that this weekend.